Welcome to Heightening Headlines, Improvising the News, the improv comedy news show featuring Ryan Charnoki and Alec Shea. Welcome back to Heightening Headlines. I am Alec.
And I'm Ryan.
And today we have a very, very special guest joining us, Mr. Adam Bloom.
Hello.
And we're gonna be doing some chill chats about improv and comedy and stand-up and then maybe we'll read a news article like we usually do and make some stuff up.
Yeah. Adam's a very funny comedian visiting us from England. And he's written a book, Finding Your Comedic Genius.
No.
Nope.
Finding your comic genius.
Finding Your Comic Genius.
Sorry,
Apologies.
For some reason.
So it's actually about being a comic book artist. You just took a complete right turn on his career.
I don't know why, but people get the title wrong. And someone mentioned it on a Adam Carolla's podcast, which is, he's in the Guinness Book of Records for the most downloads in the world in 2 years.
Wow.
And he got the title wrong.
Oh, no.
I was like, what a bittersweet moment.
Now you have to write the book, How to Find Your Comedic Genius, and sell them both. Hey, just double up.
Yeah, print a second edition that just has comic crossed out and then comedic written badly across the top.
Or you might get a successful comedian who doesn't like me, change it to Adam Bloom's a prick, but do it on Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Oh boy. Oh man. Is Joe Rogan our competition now?
Yeah, absolutely. We did a competitor analysis of this podcast, and it was just us and Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Joe Rogan does win on all metrics except for improvising.
Yeah.
He's the biggest podcast in the world, right?
He is, yeah.
But not the most downloads in 2 years.
That's impressive.
Interesting.
We still have a shot.
Good.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be, to be honest. Throwing some shade there.
What?
At the Joe Rogan. I don't think it should be the most downloaded.
So can I just say one thing? I listened to the Adam Carolla podcast because someone told me I was on it. And when I stopped it, I went away and the next day I opened up an app and it started playing, but it wasn't open. So I flicked through the apps and checked if it was open or not, and it wasn't open. But it's playing. Doesn't make sense, right? So I turned my phone off, turned it back on again. When my phone was off, it carried on playing.
Whoa.
And then I realised that's probably why it's got the most amount of downloads.
Right.
But isn't it creepy? Your phone's off and it's still playing. You think,
Did you turn around? Was he behind you?
talking to me.
Just doing the podcast live in your apartment.
I've had that happen to me. I hate when that happens.
I hate when you just get like a random podcaster just like doing like a solo show to you.
Joe, what are you doing back here?
It's good when you're reading a book, though.
Yeah, true.
They can do their voiceover.
I thought I was reading the audiobook, and then I turned around. There you were, yeah. No, now that I met you, I read the book in your voice, so that's...
Have you got kangaroos on your socks?
I do, actually, yeah.
How patriotic is that?
These are socks that I bought back in Australia.
True.
If I'd have known, I'd have got pigeons for mine.
Oh, is
Wait,
is that the first thing you associate with the UK?
It's only animals in the wild. I've seen a kangaroo in Wilson Promontory, the southernmost point of Australia. When I was in Melbourne, I got 1 day off. So the night before, a friend who lives up there had a little second home there, and we had a barbecue, slept over, and in the morning, I opened my eyes, looked out the window, and there's a kangaroo looking at me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and then
awesome.
an ostrich ran past.
Jeez.
No idea why he was in a hurry.
That's crazy.
Wait, what ran past?
An ostrich.
An ostrich?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's crazy.
Why is an Australian surprised that I saw an ostrich in Australia?
You don't mean an emu?
There we go.
Ah, okay. Because I was going to say ostriches aren't native to Australia.
Oh,
But
fair enough.
I think some people do have ostrich farms there.
Ah.
Yeah. But
Australia-
emus are native.
Australia's a very good argument that there's no God. Because the Bible doesn't mention any of those animals.
Really? Ostriches.
Kangaroos.
Emus. Or emus, as you call them in America.
Emus, yeah.
But the point is, if it was an undiscovered continent, then people writing about what the world had no access to that information.
Interesting.
Yeah. If
That
the
makes
Bible
sense.
mentioned kangaroos, and yet no one had gone to Australia, as in no people of that culture,
Yeah.
obviously they're indigenous people, but would it be nice if the Bible mentioned kangaroos?
Yeah.
And then that would be evidence to suggest that there is a God. Well, how do they know about kangaroos?
Interesting.
I wonder if that is the origin of the conspiracy theory that Australia doesn't exist and everyone who says that they're from there is a paid actor.
Like Bielefeld?
I always thought that maybe famine was, I don't mean this in bad taste, but famine was just all fake so that Bob Geldof could get rich. So, do you not know who Bob Geldof is?
No.
Oh my God. So he was the guy that fronted the whole Feed the World campaign.
Ah, okay.
So he's Sir Bob Geldof. He's from a band called the Boomtown Rats.
Ah.
I don't like Mondays. I don't like Mondays. No?
Don't know.
I know the song. Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, but actually this idea that it was all like animatronics or whatever, you know, and all the money that was going to feed these people was going to him. And then he just got some healthy looking African people to appear and go, yeah, he's fed us.
That's quite a theory.
Yeah. And you can't prove me wrong.
I mean, yeah, there is the whole thing about like, which company was it that was, they were promising a pair of sneakers to a poor child in Africa or something for every pair of sneakers that you bought. And I don't know if it was necessarily a scam, but the amount of benefit that this company was implying this whole thing was doing was like much, much smaller than it actually was.
Huh.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's coming from a good place.
No.
Well, this is depressing. Anyways, back to kangaroos.
No, it's an interesting one because when companies try and do charitable things, you have to ask how much they're benefiting from it themselves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely a rabbit hole to go down, and it's probably more depressing the more you learn about it, honestly.
I'd say for every pair of trainers you buy, we'll send a picture of those trainers to someone in Africa.
Just a picture.
Just a picture?
Yeah, to their mobile phone that they definitely have.
Let's see, it's not received yet, but jeez.
But we're having a very interesting conversation before this podcast started that I wanted to continue because we were talking about, because you mentioned you think improv can be taught but stand-up can't. Is that correct?
Yeah, because I think we all know that you shouldn't say no. It should be yes and, right? So if someone chucks an idea at you, I mean, I remember seeing a brilliant comedian called David Heightening, and he won a new act competition. And the MC, Dave Thompson, who's also a brilliant comedian, started mucking around with his prize being a polo from, you know, the sweets. Do you have those lifesavers?
Yeah.
And he offered David one. It was funny. This nerdy, tall comedian, very gangly, is offering someone a polo. In his persona made it funny. And David just went, no. And David got the laugh by rejecting it, right? But that was the end of that. And it was funny because it suited David's persona to be offish. But I remember watching going, and I've been going 6 months, and I remember watching going, an improviser wouldn't do that because it's the end of the sketch. I mean, he could say, oh, please have one. But my point was David just blocked him.
Right.
Like a guy trying to chat up a girl in a bar and go, not interested. It was that kind of vibe. And for one laugh, he stopped the whole thing.
There's an interesting concept in improv. It's simplified to say, always say yes and. There's a way to say no in an improv scene. And you're actually allowed to say no at advanced levels. Yeah. It's essentially, you have to accept the reality. So if your character doesn't want a lifesaver, and that's consistent with your character, then you can say no. But if somebody were to say, I'm holding a lifesaver and I'm offering you some, and you were to say, no, you're not holding anything, that's rejecting the reality, which is what you don't want to do.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So we talk about like there's one sort of, I guess, technique that I talk about a bit called accepting the reality but denying the offer. And my favorite kind of example of this is if someone comes up and says, hey man, can you do me a favor? And you go, no way, I'm not doing that again. That could be a much more interesting scene than just saying, yeah, what do you need?
Oh, I see what you mean. So there's a context for where the no
exactly
exists.
right.
Okay,
I've already added the information of like whatever you asked me to do last time was so bad that I'm like definitely not willing to do it again.
Oh, I see what you mean. Within stand-up, if someone says, would you like to do a comedy course? The answer should be no.
Right.
Unless it's coming from someone who's written a book on stand-up.
Yeah.
But that's not a course on... I just think comedy courses, they'll teach you generic techniques and pigeonhole you and narrow your vision into doing the generic things.
Right.
Like, talk about where you're from at the beginning. You know, there's a Colombian guy at the class the other day.
I do that as well, yeah.
I said to him, you do know that you can be introduced as this guy's from Colombia, so they get the accent. When you don't want to spend the first few minutes going, wonder where he's from,
Yeah.
But if the MC says it, you're not talking about it. So you're going to go, hello, and it's the comedy is really weird and deadpan and shy or whatever. You just do your act.
Yeah.
Whereas comedy courses almost teach you the robotic, generic methods, and therefore you wouldn't get Mitch Hedberg, Harry Hill, Stephen Wright. You wouldn't get these people because they'd be stuck. It would narrow their vision.
Yeah, I think there's a place for it for new comics to give them a sense of structure and an ability to go on stage and get some laughs so that they don't give up. But I totally see that. I think what's really interesting is the concept of crowd work in stand-up, because as having done improv for 2 years and now stand-up for 1 year, I see crowd work more and more as improv with the crowd. And I was talking to another comedian recently about crowd work being tough, because if you ask them a question and they don't give you a good answer, you're essentially stuck in that moment. But from improv training, what you realize is when you're with another actor, you can respond to anything that they're doing. So you can respond to their tone of voice. You can respond to how quickly they answered. You can respond to what they're doing with their physicality. I think this is one of the most helpful tools for stand-up comedians when they're doing crowd work, is that it's not just what the words that they say, but it's everything in the entire room. If they look at their partner, if they hesitate to answer. Right?
So I suppose I would do that instinctively, but
Right.
it might be worth going on to improv group to have that drawn to my consciousness, because everything's reaction, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, if it didn't move as anything, that's a reaction.
Yeah.
That's the thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
When we talk about offers in improv, it's not just if I say, hey, here's a banana. The offer isn't me saying, hey, here's a banana. It's like the existence of the banana. It's the way that I hand it to you. It's the look on my face. It's the tone of voice that I say it with. Everything in my character's existence is something that is an offer for you to receive.
And the art of improv is so interesting, because that defines so much more of the character. If you're offering somebody a banana, it also is representative of you're a caring person, you're being thoughtful, you have a banana, maybe you're a store owner. I think all of these things...
Unless, of course, the person you're offering it to is allergic to bananas.
Yeah, for sure.
This is going to philosophy now. Isn't
It totally is. I think the study of improv is so
What is a
fascinating.
banana?
Exactly.
Apparently, DNA-wise, it's 90%, 60% the same as us.
Maybe you, not me. I think it's so interesting if you really study improv, because if you look at an answer that an audience member gives, they're choosing the words they say. So if they give a lot of information, that's an offer, right? That's something you can play off of. Wow, you really want to talk about this, or if they're not giving a lot of information. If they choose to bring something in that wasn't even asked, then you're like, oh, you're really excited about this.
Right. Just a slightly cynical thought. If you taught those methods to someone who had not done stand-up before, and they said to someone, oh, hello, what's your name? And they say very little back, or they don't answer, or what do you do for a living? They don't give the answer, whatever. Maybe you could see the Terminator screen in front of them. You know, Sarah Connor's. Remember that screen Terminator had?
Yeah.
Going movement, no. Almost like maybe they like pause for a whole second before the answer, because they've gone through the things,
Yeah.
as opposed to just going in with their instinct.
Right. I mean, that's the main thing, right? You don't necessarily want to be thinking about every single
don't.
one of these
No, you
things.
don't.
You just want to be reacting to them.
I think the study of improv
Or reacting to whatever one stands out.
Yeah.
The study of improv is having a set of tools. So when you don't know how to answer, you are able to pull on something. So improv is always about going with the flow and going with the first thing that comes to your mind. But if nothing is coming to your mind, which is basically the biggest problem in improv, I don't know how to respond to this person. What are they giving me? You're able to know, okay, I can use their physicality. I can use their tone of voice, maybe their posture to respond to.
Right. So this is why I think improv can be taught. If you took the greatest comic stand-up, and Phil Kay, a Glaswegian comedian, when he's on form, he's the best improviser in the world, in my opinion. His hit rate is a bit hit and miss. But when he taps into it, he's operating on a higher plane than anyone I've ever seen. And he'll do an hour of improv as well, a whole show of improv.
Yeah, right.
And so let's say you stuck him with a really good improv group, but he'd never been on stage with anyone else ever. And you put him in, he would stand out. And not necessarily in a good way. Because I don't think he would. I think the tools you're talking about are not instinctive and are imperative.
Yeah.
But I might be wrong.
No, there's definitely a lot of it that I think is not instinctive. And I mean, I think a lot of them are also like, I think things are the general comedy tools as well, right? Like if you go into a scene being sort of like a creepy goblin type character, and then the other person says like, you know, honey, could you make me a tea? The worst thing that you could do is stop being the goblin and go like, yeah, sure, darling. No, I want to see that goblin make the tea as the husband of this woman. You know, I want to see that relationship between, and I guess what I'm talking about is like the staying consistent with like the promise you make to the audience. Because I feel like I see a lot of stand-ups in the way that they write. It's sort of written like that, right? You set up some sort of premise, and then as you know something starts to go wrong, you don't want to back off that. You want to go deeper into, you know, whatever character archetype you started with when you went into this bit. You want to stay consistent all the way to the end until you get to the payoff.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I don't know. I saw Robin Williams doing a group improv once, and he made it about him. And he made, like, they were doing a scene in a film, and that song went cut. And the second they went cut, he changed his persona to be nothing like the part he was playing, and made it like a Jack in the Box. He just went boom, and no one could touch it. So I thought that was maybe not a team player. My point is, can you sometimes have a selfish person in improv?
Oh,
Absolutely,
definitely, yeah.
There's a famous show.
Like him.
I started out as a very jokey, improviser, and
Okay.
it was one of the best trainings for me personally because I do go for the quick joke, and I had to learn how to be a team player and how to go with the flow. That was huge learning curve for me. But there's a show of improv where very skilled improviser will take an audience member who's never done improv in his life, bring him on stage, and do a 2-person scene for 30 minutes, I think, with this person.
Without their permission.
With
drag them
with their permission.
So let's say
so
we
they're
look from the
volunteer.
audience.
Yeah.
They put their hand up.
Who knows?
Are you talking about the Lee White set? Yeah. He will just sit on stage and say, like, whenever one of you is ready, come up and we'll do a scene. And then he just sits there and waits.
But the brilliance of it is that
Wow.
that person
and
is
someone will come.
Yeah.
Because they know that if they don't, there's no show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I think
Passive
it's like
aggressive in a way. Isn't it?
it's more awkward for everyone in the audience than it is for him to be there waiting.
I love the premise.
Yeah, the point is that you have an improviser who's not a team player, who's never done improv before, but with a skilled enough improviser, you can take and support anybody. He actually makes the audience member shine and start to be very funny and make jokes because you can set people up. It's almost like a pitcher throwing a ball.
And also by coming forward, they must have they can't be introvert. A complete introvert wouldn't come out, I'm guessing.
Yeah. They'd have
Probably
to voluntarily
not.
go up. Yeah.
He had some pretty crazy stories of some of the kinds of people that he had come up at certain shows. Like one of them was like this 8-year-old kid who just kept saying no to every offer. And, so like some people present more of a challenge than others, but
I produced an improv show with stand-up comedians, and I had stand-up comedians do improv. It was entirely stand-up comedians, so I had to figure out a way to make them shine in a format of a game. And there is a way. You just have to give them the ability to be stand-up comedians, essentially.
Right.
And once you do that, there's many improv formats. You can create improv formats.
I told you, I saw a guy from an improv group convert to stand-up, and he emceed a gig, which is the most significant time to improvise, right? Blonde in the room, and he didn't do one ad lib. He literally went on stage and did an 18-minute set and brought the first act on. And I was like, you're not good at improvising, are you? Like, that's the least improv I've ever seen. I think once I saw an MC just do material and bring an act on. Okay, you don't MC.
Yeah.
That's just splitting yourself into 3 groups.
Yeah.
That's not MC. MC is bonding the room, right?
Yeah.
So I watched him, I thought, well, you can't be that confident with your improv skills if you didn't ask a single question in 18 minutes.
Maybe that's why I switched to stand-up.
Well, because he didn't want to improvise.
Yeah,
but emceeing is the most significant time to improvise.
Yeah, sure.
Show off your crowd work.
Of course, and bond the room.
Yeah.
You know, your job is to break down the fourth wall and make the audience feel special and part of something that's a one-off event. But anyway, you know who you are.
What's your take on comedians doing crowd work in like showcases, mixed shows?
When you say showcase, what's different showcase and a club gig?
Club gig. So I think here they call it mixed shows or showcases.
Nothing wrong with it. Your only job is to be funny and be rebooked on the back of being original and funny.
Because I've heard some comedians say if you're doing crowd work, it's like you're taking time. The audience is paying to see you do jokes, not to see you do cheap, essentially crowd work gigs.
If it's cheap crowd work, I mean, if the outcome is an ad lib that's astonishing and the room goes, oh my God, I think an ad lib is almost inevitably the funniest moment in any stand-up gig. A response to a heckle is inevitably the best. A good response to a heckle is inevitably the most explosive moment. That gig we did together, the first one, I did a callback to someone else's set. And that was the most explosive moment of the whole night.
Yeah, it was,
And that's because they went, he wrote that just now. I actually had half an hour. No, she was on just before me.
Yeah.
So I had 7 minutes, 6 minutes to write it. But the point is, So you could go, I took a risk, what if it wasn't funny? I saw an interview with Woody Allen once, and he was saying basically improv is depriving your audience of material if it's not good. So you're taking a risk, aren't you? You're spinning a wheel, going, shall I do a really good joke, or shall I risk doing a really even better one, or nothing? So if in my career, if you add up all the improv that's gone nowhere, I've wasted hundreds of hours of paying people's time. But that killer line is worth it. It's a risk you take, I suppose.
It's a really magical moment, because I think the reason improv is so special is because even though the jokes are not the strongest, you have this air of spontaneity that doesn't exist. That's the reason that these stand-up crowd work punches get such an extra laugh. And that is on the baseline of an entire improv show. So it's entirely improvised.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
So you take mediocre lines, fives would become sevens and sevens become tens, because it's spontaneity. It's literally, you're saying in the second.
Right.
What that is.
There's a comedian called Mike Capizzola who did most of the illustrations in my book. He sent me a picture from a dressing room in San Francisco. It was a stop sign, octagonal red signs, which said stop. And on a post-it note underneath it said stop, ending your set on crowd work. Because if you end a set on crowd work, it makes the audience go, well, what would you have done had that not worked? Whereas if you end on a bit, there's a sense of structure and a show.
Right.
Whereas what these guys are doing they're filming their gigs, put it on Instagram. So they don't want to burn material on Instagram, so they use crowd work. So they're kind of using the audience for another audience. Yeah. It's like that audience paid, and the one at home is just swiping in a very disloyal fashion. Yeah. And I think it's absolutely awful to think of your audience as a tool to make another audience get followed in another audience. So having a sign saying stop ending your set on crowd work is a real sign of the times. And I've done our shows when there's maybe 20% improv, but I would never end my show with improv because it leaves the audience going, what would you have done otherwise? And the answer is different improv. But that sense, there's a guy called Ross Noble who's kind of known as the best improviser in Britain, and he used to do shows that would end with improv. And I remember thinking, yeah, but what were you going to do otherwise? And then once he got big, what he'd do 2 45s at an interval. And the first 45 was mainly improv and a bit of material. And the second 45 was nearly all material.
Right.
And then we got a sense of, I paid to watch something that had been thought out and structured. And that was the best of both worlds, basically. Yeah. When I do a one-man show, I want my audience walking away going, that was a really well thought out, structured show with lots of thought put into it. But we saw the night that was special. I want everyone to walk away going, we saw the night that was special. And that improv is what makes it special. I saw Sean Locke's 2005 Edinburgh show, my favourite comedian, rest his soul.
Sean Locke.
Yeah, and it was all material, not a single question. And I loved it. I didn't once think, he's done this 26 times by the time I've seen it. I just loved it and watched it and loved it, right? But although that was the best hour I've ever sat through, I didn't walk away going, I was at that night. I just saw an incredible hour. So if there was so doing no improv at all, we talked about this before we were filming, right? Doing no improv at all is a credit to the material. He doesn't need to bond with the audience. He just goes, here's my hour. And I've seen him do that 3 times now.
Yeah, right.
No questions. And the ability to just walk on stage and do your hour, I couldn't do that, you see. I'd need some improv. I almost feel like I'm cheating the audience if I talk for too long without any improv.
Yeah, okay.
I can't go 7 minutes without an ad lib. I can't do it. There's a part of me that feels like I'm lying. Like they're laughing. I'm going, I've said this so many times now. Right. And it's got an air of spontaneity to it. I don't fake ad libs. I don't go, just thought of that. I've seen a comedian go, write that down. I think, what, like you did 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
You write that down.
That's interesting. So I guess in that case, it's almost like potentially in a way more for you than it is for the audience.
Yeah, keeps me alive.
Yeah.
Keeps my endorphins going.
Yeah.
I'll never be there behind the eyes because there's
that's the thing, right? Like you don't want to be delivering a great joke, but be delivering it like with a dead soul, you know?
Yeah. But that shows that Sean Locke's hour was a new hour.
Right.
And he was proud of it. And just delivering it alone was enough to make it incredible.
Yeah. Crazy.
Very interesting.
Thanks for listening to Heightening Headlines. Part 2 of this episode coming soon.